Wanted to do a little video on something I designed and built when I got bored. It's actually pretty cool. I wanted a way. Well, originally I was going to build something for cutting plastic, thin plastic, small pieces of wood, things like that, without having to put it on my laser cutter. And then, of course, everything blows up, and next thing you know, I'm building something completely different than what I started, but kind of turned out the same. Anyways, I figured if I put this on video, it's kind of a poor man's patent, huh? And here we go. This is what I came up with. All right. This is your head. I made it kind of like a stylus. This is your fire button. The harder you push, the harder it fires. It's got, here, let's just flip it on here. You turn it on, then to set your button, you push as hard as you want your max push and let off. Yellow light goes off, fan kicks on. Okay, here, let me do this. I'm gonna turn this down so you can hear me better. It's your fan switch, controls your fan. We can look up here and see our maximum is set. That's our max, that's our minimum. You can adjust your max and minimum right here. So that would make it, the minimum it would fire at this point would be half wattage. This is I think it's a 5.5 watt laser. And then this, you could control your maximum. That means I could turn it all the way down to, I believe it was 70%. So it only fire up to up to 30%. We'll turn that on high. And then you got a little foot pedal down here. Let me show you. Boop. Little foot pedal. When you hit that, it allows the laser to fire. Obviously, laser is not firing because I don't have the button push. However, let me show you a little. I want to get close here, just to kind of give you an idea. Watch it burn. Yeah, see that? Burns good. The lighter you hit, push, the more it fires, as you see. But you could also turn it on. Sorry, I'm trying to do this with two hands. You can also turn your minimum up so you can have a little guide. Put it right about there, which I might even be strong enough to burn, really. So you can see where you're about to burn, then you fire it to burn, just like so. Right now I got it really close down. I've got my goggles with me there in my shop. Okay, and then you can still leaving that on, but I leave it on enough. Yeah, look at it burn. It burns quick and easy. Alright, now I can set my maximum down to 50%, so we will never fire with 50%. So just a little bit of burn, but by being able to control that burn, you're able to do grayscale. So it's sort of like a stylus, but an engraver. Turn that back up. You could also set it up to where, say you wanted to fire at 50%, you can literally set it up right here and then have it to where you just hit the switch, and without touching the button, it'll automatically fire and burn. You know what I mean? But obviously, that would kind of defeat the purpose of the laser. But if you're cutting through a piece of plastic, that works great. And like I said, I have a little bit of problem with my temperature sensor, because I know it ain't negative 450, but I'll adjust that. This just tells you a readout, 11.2 volts, using 4 watts. I don't know what it is at max power, how many watts it uses, because that's how little I've actually used it. But we could take a look and see. Alright, light on. trying to do this with my offhand. 14 watt. Regular, well, no, that's 4 watt to 19 watt. I know that laser ain't that strong. However, wait, yeah. However, you can see real quick how deep the sucker burns. It didn't, oh yeah, I guess it did come out the other side in a couple spots. It's a pretty tight beam, but yeah, I know. Sorry. An idea from somebody. Hang it in your truck. Have one pointing to your passenger seat, my bitch, and then I want to have one pointing the other way back. Says my asshole and my dick. We haven't figured out which one yet. Anyways, neat little design. Like I said, the stylus part's pretty cool because if somebody was really artistic, they could do drawings on a piece of wood by engraving instead of using a machine to do it. You can do it by hand, but it cuts great through plastic. I use it to cut through plastic once in a while. Honestly, I probably use it 10 times. I've had it for about a year, but that's because I'm always working on other projects. So I have used it to weld together plastic. I had a plastic part on the car brake, and it was a very fine hairline brake, and I actually used that to mend it back together. Worked pretty good, but also good for cutting off bowls. Yeah, I know, I'm an idiot, but oh well. Anyways, oh yeah, you calibrate it. When you turn it on, you push as hard as you want to push as your maximum and release, and that calibrates it so you'll know your minimum to maximum for grayscaling. I'm about to switch to pressure sensor though. I'm not that big on that pressure sensor. I mean, it works, but it's not as accurate. I would almost rather have it a nozzle like for painting. What do you call them? Airbrush. That way, the farther you pull back, the harder it burns and release. I think that would be a better design, which I'm going to implement. And also, I'm going to implement a foot switch that controls the power. That way, you can you don't even got to use your hand at all, and you can control it by foot pressure, which works great with this guy, which is a little rotary tool. That works great having, actually I can show you real quick because I always leave it hooked up. But the harder you push, the faster it goes. That would work good for that too, if you think about it. Cutting, the harder you push, the harder it burns. That would be a good idea too. So I'm going to add both those features. When I designed it to where things can be switched out, like the foot pedal and the wand and all that. The fan keeps your hands cool. I don't know if you can see them here. I got air there, but also air comes directly out the end too to kind of blow your part cool. Keeps the laser cool, and it don't take that much air to keep it cool. It stays around 80 degrees after burning for a minute or two. Although I just got one that said 100, but it's jumping around. It got thrown around the closet. I got to go in there and see. There was a loose wire on the fan when I first turned it on that I had to fix. But obviously, if I make it a production thing, all this will be ironed out. I think I could probably build these and sell these for about, due to the laser price, probably about $200 to $250. But I'm trying to think of a way that I could do it for cheaper, because I would like everybody to be able to get their hands on one. But I was competing with ultrasonic cutters, but they want $400, $500, $600 for those just to cut plastic. This thing will zoom right through plastic like it's nothing. So that's what I was competing with. But then I started realizing it can do a lot more, like rust removal. Yeah, this laser removes rust. Yeah, let me go and turn it off. It actually removes rust. Tattoo removal. Don't judge. Hey man, multi-purpose. It just does all kinds of stuff. Oh, it's great for boils. Yeah, one little zap, it'll dig right through the skin into the boil. So it's good for that too. But anyways, engraving. I've never tried to engrave on like stainless with it. It just depends on the laser. My other laser will, and it's about the same power. I've got a bigger laser that I'm thinking about switching to, but I don't know if I will. It's a 10 watter, and this one's actually showing it's firing about 10 watts. Well, I know that ain't my 10 watt laser. I don't think it was. It might be, now that I think about it. But yeah, just a neat little design that I'm hoping one day to bring to market. I think I might put it on that crowdfunding thing because it's very useful. I use a 3D printer filament. You can use this, which I didn't do with this laser. I did it with another one I built, but it was just simple on and off with the handle. Laser, you just, I would use it with 3D printer filament to fix like cracks and breaks in plastic. This one here I used one time on plastic, and it zipped right through it. And as you go, it kind of pulls behind it. It's kind of weird, almost like it vibrates it. I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet, but my other laser does that. When I'm cutting wood and stuff, it makes a noise, which I don't know. I think it's just vibrating the wood, or like I was doing Mom's headstone today on my other laser. Yeah, because they can do granite, and I didn't know that. Good for me, because yeah, Mom needs a headstone, But it was making this weird noise, like squealing. Weird. I'll record it. It's like, how's the laser doing that? It's literally like vibrating it. Kind of strange coming from a light, And being a 5 watt light, think about your house light. I mean, that there they use like a 50 watt bulb. I think it equals about 5 watts. But these focus the light, which it's crazy what you could do with light when you focus it. But anyways, I thought I'd show off my little design here, and yeah, probably put it on some crowdfunding because I think this could be very useful. I'd like to make it smaller, make the stylus a little smaller. I don't know how much smaller I can go because the laser itself is pretty good size. In the cooling, I had to put a bunch of tubing in there to kind of keep it cool. But I could have let it get a little warmer than that to compensate for the girth of it. But you can also adjust this laser by turning this here tip on the end here. That adjusts how far out your beam burns. So it's possible to shrink this tube down to the laser size. I've actually dropped it quite a bit and chopped this whole nut to the laser size and have that rest on the back of your hand. And I could also add in that what do you call that? The small paintbrush, the airbrush, like the airbrush style switch. That way I can implement and be up in the top. That way it's more comfortable sitting in your hand and you're holding it like a pencil, for cutting, which would be nice. But it would also be nice if maybe instead I just added a little bit of a distance here, put a circle to where you're at. But then you might lose the whole airbrush effect. Because if I can fade with this, I can grayscale fade on the wood with this, and that was the point of making it into like a stylus and adding the feature of the intensity of the burn, so it could work as a stylus, so an artist could really go to town and literally draw stuff using a laser. Some do it with wood burning, but this is way quicker than a wood burner. I mean, instant burn, you just saw. So, but now, thought it'd be cool to share one of my little inventions I built. I build them all the time, and then they sit in a corner of the room and barely ever get pulled out, except for that one back there. This thing's pretty cool. I use it all the time. It's a massive power supply. It has all kinds of cool little features, but that's one of my things I built that I use all the time. And that, obviously, that's all full of crap. My 3D printer. Haven't printed nothing recently. I need to. I also got one of them resin printers too. It's resin printers are nice. They're not as pain in the ass as they lead you to believe. I didn't want to ever really use mine because I thought it had a lot of this work in cleanup, but there's not. If you have a wash station, you just drop it in, let it run for a minute. You don't have to do anything special to the resin, where a lot of people said you do. I just leave the resin in there and add more. And if I want to switch resin, I just dump it back in and it works fine. I've never had an issue. So, kind of going off on a tangent here. I also built a pretty big, it was supposed to be a wood router, but I ended up using it for aluminum and a baby one. So basically I built a bunch of machines, and this thing more handy than I really thought. Sad thing is I don't remember building it. I remember building it, but I don't remember building it. Obviously I learned how to program the next in display when I did it. So, but yeah. Show me one of your cool toys you built. I'm always loving to watch that.